Happy to welcome in our first guest this morning. He is the president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation, Mr. Mike McCormick. Mike, always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks so much for coming in studio this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. Good to be here.
All right, did you take in some football or did you find a dove field this weekend?
Well, neither one. There was some dove hunting going on my place, but being Farm Bureau president is a full-time job, to say the least. So when I get a chance to go home, I go home to farm, and that's what we did this past weekend.
There you go. How are crops looking, not just for you, but for farmers that you're talking to across the state of Mississippi?
I think it's a mixed bag. In places, it's above average crop in the north part of the state where you're at, and a little north, it's got way too wet for too long, and those guys are going to struggle getting a crop out. It's going to make a long harvest season this year, and it's just too early to tell for some of that. But overall, over the state, I think it's an average to just a little bit above average crop.
All right. That's not necessarily good news, considering some of the issues that some farmers are dealing with, really that all farmers are dealing with, and that's part of what we want to talk about this morning, but also perhaps some things that are good news for farmers. So let's go big picture for a second. I mean, you and I have talked about this before. Certainly farmers are talking about the fact that input prices have just spiraled out of control. It gets to a point where it makes it hard to make a living. And we've talked with Secretary Gibson and others about the fact that there are a lot of folks that have just said that's enough. I've hung it up. Maybe they didn't even farm this year, and others that may be facing that decision in years to come. Are there stories that you're hearing to the contrary? Are there any farmers out there that are telling a better story than the one that we're hearing so commonly?
So yes, the livestock sector is probably experiencing the best times in the history of the industry, but it's because it was so bad for so long. The national cow herd is down to historic lows, so that's why you're seeing the prices of steaks and beef in the grocery store be so high. But it gives the cattle farmers a chance to update some things on their farms, like I'm doing, and make a little money to put back for the lean years. Back to the row crop side of things, it's not a lot of positive going on out there. Just like you said, it's a lot of the inflation. What we're selling crops for just doesn't match what we're having to put into that crop to grow it. So it's pretty tough times out there in our row crop sector.
And isn't it really across the board when you look at costs related to inputs, whether it's land cost or chemical cost or fertilizer cost or seed cost or equipment cost? I mean, everything is just up. I mean, how much? 100% in a lot of cases, sometimes more?
Yes, it's all up, and all of it plays a factor from the smallest input to the largest input. All of it's causing the issues of what the farmers got to do, and they can only cut back so much for so long, and then that catches up with you as well. So if you're rolling over debt from last year's crop and the year before that, the lending institutions can only go so long. Last year was probably the first time since the 1980s that we had the banks come in and say, lending institutions, and say, this isn't working, and we're seeing the financials and the balance sheets, and it doesn't look good. We got to do something. So very proud that Farm Bureau and others talked to our leadership in Washington. Congressman Trent Kelly took the lead and dropped a bill that eventually wound up with some aid for farmers all across the United States, but certainly here in Mississippi. And we built a bridge to get to this big, beautiful bill and the parts of it that was a farm bill. And we're very fortunate to have some things in that that will help moving forward, but we're probably going to have another bridge, because that part of the bill won't see the levels of funding coming back to the farmers till this time next year or a little bit later. So trying to help the farmers get this interest clock stopped on a lot of debt that they created this year and in previous years is going to be something we're going to work on hard moving forward.
So you mentioned that there were elements of the Farm Bill that were part of the one big, beautiful bill. Mm-hmm. There's a lot there, right? I mean, if you want to go through and try and figure out everything that is in it, you're going to be there for a while. There certainly are people that have done that, but We talked with Cindy Hyde-Smith not too terribly long ago and have asked her a number of times about the Farm Bill as we have always known it. But we also know that the Farm Bill has a whole lot in it that is not just for farmers, because you roll a lot of benefits programs, all of the SNAP stuff, and child nutrition falls under that as well. She indicated the last time we talked that it might be easier to get a Farm Bill done because there were some things that normally would be included in the Farm Bill that were in the One Big Beautiful Bill. So let's start there in terms of the BBB. What's there that specifically helps farmers in Mississippi?
Well, let's go back to what you mentioned. The Farm Bill is named the Farm Bill, but less than 20% of that whole bill affects farmers. Over 80% of it is for other thing outside of the farm sector. So not a lot in there for farming, but what's in there is very important for us. In the Big Beautiful Bill, I think what I could say about it is it creates certainty in an uncertain market. Farmers have some of the riskiest business plans of any industry out there. We don't control the weather. We don't control the inputs. We don't control what we sell our crops for. And we don't control the government regulations that govern the farmers in the way we do things. So all of that is very unpredictable that we work on every single year. And the Big Beautiful Bill, mainly through updates to crop insurance, that dictates what farmers can pay into and what they can get out of it, ARC and PLC payments. Those were up to match the inflation that's gone wild over the last several years, to make it to where there is a floor, there is a safety net there for farmers that they can bail themselves out of if they take advantage of that.
You mentioned a second ago, though, rolling debt from year to year, and I guess in a perfect world, if you have a great year and you make extra money, you do what you were talking about a second ago. You try to put some away for the future. But in a year where things aren't good and you find yourself in the red and you have to roll that forward toward the previous crop, it puts you in a spot that it's almost a cycle that's impossible to get out of. How do you do that?
Well, you got to have some big crops, and you've got to have probably some bad luck on farmers somewhere else around the world. So maybe the crops didn't grow as well in South America or in other states, and we were able to get some prices up to where they can put some money back and try to dig themselves out of the hole they're in.
One of the things that we have heard discussed a lot lately is foreign land ownership. Yes. And, whether it's South America or China or other parts of the world where you have investors that are coming in and are buying up land. And there's some places that have said we're going to stop that. We're not going to let foreign investors buy land, especially if they're adversaries of the United States. In Arkansas, they've even talked about clawing back some previous land purchases. I'm still not sure exactly how that works. What about here in Mississippi? We know there's been a lot of foreign land investment in Mississippi, and that's part of what's affected prices.
Well, I certainly think that there's some foreign ownership issues in the state of Mississippi. The legislature did pass something last year that I think strengthened our ability to control that. To some, it's not enough. To others, they have a different story. So it just depends on who you're declaring is the foreign ownership. It's a complicated issue. It's a complicated issue of how it gets reported, of who those people are. I think it's more of a federal issue to get stopped than it is a state issue to get stopped. And I applaud the Trump administration on looking into that to try to get it done. I think we're incentivizing foreign ownership through some of our energy projects. Those are guaranteed certain types of return on investments, and those probably need to get stopped. But I think it's short-sighted just to say this is about regulating my farmland when we need to be worried about them owning warehouses and houses and any type property here in the United States close to military bases or things that affect our national security.
We will. We're going to take a quick time out. We'll continue with Mike McCormick, and on the other side of this break, we will talk about the future of agriculture resiliency for Mississippi, the strategic plan that Commissioner Andy Gibson announced this past week. What does that mean? What does it entail? We'll get to that on the other side of the break. Visiting with Mike McCormick, president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. We're back with you right after this on Mornings with Richard Cross. It's MRC on SuperTalk Mississippi. Mike McCormick is my guest, president of the Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. In just a second, we'll get to the farm strategic plan that came out last week. But, Mike, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the effect that tariffs are having on farmers. We get a message from Thomas who says it's hard to sell soybeans when an unnecessary trade war has caused the biggest importer of U.S. crops to not buy any and go to Brazil instead. I suppose that message is at least in part accurate. So what about tariffs? We know that this is a complicated issue. It's one that from the outset, President Trump was going to create some temporary pain, but it was part of a longer-term strategy. Where's Farm Bureau? Where are you with this when you look at the tariff conversation and kind of what we are going through economically as a country?
Well, tariffs are bad for farmers. There's no question about it. And China's not buying any farm products right now. So that's not a good thing for the market, and that's making them a major impact on why the farmers aren't being able to see a profit. We know that the trade deals in the past have not been fair to the United States, and especially on ag deals. And I think our farmers are all, or most of them, are patiently awaiting some resolutions to some of this uncertainty that's going on in the trade world, and we need to get that fixed sooner than later. I can tell you we had Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins here in the Farm Bureau building for a whole day almost about a week ago, and she is an amazing lady. She's fighting for us. She understands the issues behind the scenes. I got a chance to talk to her one-on-one, and she gets it. She understands it, and I believe wholeheartedly they want to get this fixed. And we're looking for a quick resolution because farmers are hurting. Whether it'll come back or not, I don't know. China's developed a lot of interest down in Brazil and across the globe, trying to get somewhere else to get their ag products from. So we will see how it goes. But we're hopeful that we get to a finish line sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and they're not investing in Brazil and South America out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, it's all about self-sustaining and trying to cut that out.
That's correct.
It's a little scary stuff. All right, so this farm plan, the Future of Agriculture Resiliency for Mississippi, what can you tell us about this plan that Commissioner Gibson announced last week?
Well, not a lot right now. I think he's going through the process of having some listening sessions. He put a committee together of farm leaders around Mississippi through different ag sectors. We have a seat on the committee. I put our policy development coordinator on the committee, and I think they have plans of having that listening session, and then they're going to go around the state and hear what farmers are saying in different areas of the state. Mississippi's a big, diverse state, so things grow differently, and different things are produced in different parts of the state. So I applaud him for looking into this. I think it's he's got plans of moving up and not being ag commissioner, and I think he wants to leave a legacy and a strategic plan in place at the Department of Agriculture that can be worked on to help the farmers of the state. So right now, don't know a lot about other than there's a lot of listening, a lot of policy development that'll have to happen over this next year.
It's interesting hearing you talking about the diversity of farming in Mississippi. I feel like because of our history, when people hear farming in Mississippi, they think cotton, corn, soybeans, and we forget that there's a massive sweet potato industry and a poultry industry and a livestock industry and a timber industry, and all of these things fall under the guise of farming. And you mentioned that the livestock industry is in a good place, but everybody's got their own unique set of problems, which makes it fairly complicated.
Yeah, and we've got blueberries and vegetables down on the coast and watermelons and forestry products that are really struggling right now to make any money with whatsoever. So there's a lot of issues out there that encompasses a big ag sector, which makes up Mississippi's #1 industry. So a lot of people will have to come together to give some input, and I guess a plan will be developed on how you attack that.
Sounds like a lot of work that's going to take somebody a whole lot smarter than me to try and figure it out. And we are left waiting, and that's the hardest part, right? I mean, you're having to ask and encourage farmers to be patient and say that help is on the way, but we're hopeful that help's on the way, right?
Well, it's good to have a Farm Bureau out there fighting for you every day, so the farmers can go do what they do best. They can go farm, and we'll handle the ag policy parts, and we'll take the wins where we can get them, and keep fighting for the ones that we need to get across the finish line.
Hopefully those wins are on the way sooner rather than later. Mike McCormick, President, Mississippi Farm Bureau Federation. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming in this morning.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me.
8 o'clock hour is on the way. We've got the news coming up next, both from Fox News and from the SuperTalk Mississippi news team. JT Mitchell will join us later on, about half an hour from right now in the 8 o'clock hour. Glad to have you along for the ride on this Monday morning, the 8th of September, 2025. We're back with the final hour after this.